It's now time for my latest installment of Rashad Richey Hate, and this one will have you punching air by the time it's over. It concerns rent, betrayal, and a lawsuit, and if you think you had a low opinion of Rashad before, yeah, well, stick around. Hello out there. I am trying to get through.
With his powerful brainwaves cradled in the warmth of reasoning, it's time for Johnny Walker Dread to straighten you out on a thing or two. Emanating all the way from exciting Las Vegas, Oklahoma, it's the Johnny Walker Dread Show.
Now, I had originally planned to introduce this as number 1 of a video titled Top 10 Times Rashad Richey Pissed You Off, or something like that. But the video was going to be too long, so I decided to go ahead and punch this one out and do the top 10 list later. Oh, one more thing. When I get done, I'm going to ask you Rashad Richey fans a simple question. Is Rashad Richey what you mean by black excellence? So, what's this all about? Well, what we have here is a lawsuit brought against Rashad by Gail Buckner over a rental squabble. On August 1st, 2011, the defendant entered into a residential lease agreement for the residence situated at with plaintiff. A true and correct copy of the agreement is attached hereto as Exhibit A. The initial lease term commenced on August 1st, 2011 and ended on August 31st, 2012. But pursuant to the terms of the agreement, a month-to-month tenancy was created after the initial lease term ended, with rent continuing at the stated rate and with all other terms and conditions and blah, blah, blah. And yes, I edited out the address because Rashad Richey's smooth-brained followers are absolutely the type that would go and harass those who are living there now. Who's Gail Buckner, you might ask? Probably one of those slumlords taking advantage of unfortunate people like Rashad Richey, charging him outrageous rent and forcing him into a life of poverty and crime. Because racist. Rashad today would probably be a world-famous somebody if only people like Gail Buckner weren't there to hold him down. And she's white. Ooh. Actually, during the time that Rashad knew her, Gail was a state senator in Georgia. Rashad was a former street thug with a serious criminal record. For reasons known only to Gail, Rashad, and possibly space aliens, Gail took Rashad under her wing and helped position him for a future political career. Rashad would become the political director of the Georgia Democratic Party, and there's no doubt that Gail helped him get there. Rashad's criminal record would later come to light thanks to a conservative blogger from the Tulsa area, embarrassing the party and pretty much ending his career as a party official. But around 2011, Rashad needed a place to stay. In stepped Gail. As you can see, Rashad started renting Gail's home almost exactly 14 years ago. So this is not that long ago. He wasn't just some kid. He was in his 30s. Let's take a look at the place. As you can see, we have here a nice house. It's on a corner lot that looks to be in a very nice neighborhood. Has trees, a 2-car garage. Looks to be about 1,500 square feet or so. I was living in a place just like this in Muskogee about 20 years ago. Rashad is single and is just starting out on his career of fraud and deceit. So this is a pretty swank place to hang your head. Now, in the comments section, post how much you think this house would have rented for in 2011. So, how much did slumlord Gail charge for rent back in 2011? $800 a month. Mind you, you'd be hard-pressed to find a nice apartment for $800 a month in 2011. This is an entire house. So she was bending over backwards to give Rashad a sweetheart deal so that he would have more than an adequate living space. We'll see how he repays her kindness. Defendant also agreed to keep and maintain the premises in good and sanitary condition and repair at defendant's sole expense during the term of the lease, so he was in charge of keeping the place up. Well, did he? Hang on. Beginning in August 2011, defendant failed to pay the amounts owed for the utilities at the rental property and failed to make rental payments owed to the plaintiff. Defendant stayed in the residence until June 2013, and from August 2011 until June 2013, defendant accrued $17,600 in unpaid rent and utilities. But wait, it says from August 2011. That's the same month that he began renting the place. So Rashad wasted no time in backstabbing his mentor. He never paid her for rent at all. He didn't even pay for his freaking utilities. Is it not clear that he never intended to pay her a dime? It goes on. Defendant stayed in the residence until June 2013, and from August 2011 until June 2013, defendant accrued $17,601 in unpaid rent and utilities. So Rashad stayed in her home for nearly 2 years, never paying rent. She didn't even charge him for late fees because if you multiply 22 months by $800 per month, you get $17,600. But it gets worse. It wasn't enough for Rashad to stiff her on the rent. Oh no. He decided that Gail hadn't suffered enough for trusting him. That darn white lady trusting me with her house will pay. While residing in the premises, defendant caused extensive damage to the doors, carpet, kitchen floor, kitchen cabinets, glass shower doors, walls, and furniture. So Rashad went full-out Keith Moon on the poor lady's house. But it gets worse. After defendant vacated the property, plaintiff spent approximately $1,700 or so to have trash hauled off the premises and on cleanup and extermination services for the property. Extermination services. So he had roaches and everything else camping out with him in this place. Ew. Ew. The dude's a pig. Can you imagine the smell? But it gets worse. Due to the extensive property damage caused by defendant, plaintiff also suffered approximately $38,500 in additional damages because of the devaluation of her house. All you Rashad Richey fans out there, what does it take? What does it take to convince you that the man is a low-down, conniving fraud? Is this not enough? Or in your book, is it okay to do something like this to a person like Gail, who helped him get where he is? The suit goes on. Defendant has also acted in bad faith, been stubbornly litigious, and has caused plaintiff unnecessary trouble and expense, entitling plaintiff to attorney's fees and expenses. So rather than pay her what he owes her, or at least arranging a payment plan, he tried to jack up her legal expenses, hoping that she would just give up. That's what that means. Well, there are two sides to every story. Sure, that's why we have litigation. The court gave Rashad his opportunity to tell his side of the story, and he lost. It took a long time. The court didn't rule on the case until 2015, 4 years after he began renting from her. So all you wannabe landlords out there in Georgia, beware of the Rashads in your midst, and never, ever, ever trust them. So Rashad lost this case, and with that, he finally realized that the court has ruled he was in the wrong, and he needs to abide by the court's decision. Remember, he's supposed to be acting as a judge coming up, right? He's supposed to have this amazing respect for the court system. Because if there's one thing you know about Rashad Richey, it's that he respects the rulings of the court. I mean, he claims a Juris Doctorate, right? Yeah, right. Rashad still refused to pay her. As you can see here, the court ordered a garnishment of his WAOK paycheck in 2015, but evidently that wasn't enough, so it issued another garnishment of his JP Morgan bank account in 2021. So did Gail ever get her money? Well, my buddy Brian emailed Gail Buckner back in October. Let's read. Hi, Mrs. Buckner. My name is Brian. I've been looking into Rashad Richey's background for my blog Exposing Fraudsters. After finding the 2021 legal case from Gwinnett County, that's the garnishment, I'm just wondering if he ever paid the rent money. And Gail comes back,
No, he did not pay the rent, and he trashed my house something horrible. I sued him and won a $15,000 judgment. That money just scratched the surface to cover the damage he did.
It would be bad enough if the landlord was some corporation and Rashad skipped out without paying. But this is infinitely worse. Gail thought he was a friend and would be grateful for her career help. And he not only stabbed her in the back by not paying the rent, he also trashed her home. Remember that car that Rashad was driving drunk that night when he tore it up by slamming it into some poor bastard's SUV? If you're not sure what I'm talking about, you gotta watch my video of Rashad's DUI. It's hilarious. It even involves a police chase, as Rashad didn't seem too respectful of the cops that night. What was Rashad driving? Democratic Party Chair Michael Burlon's Lexus. Guess who also helped Rashad gain a political career in Georgia? Michael Burlon. So, do you get the picture on how Rashad repays those who help him? So back to my original question for you Rashad Richey fans. Is this black excellence? Is Rashad Richey, with all his fake degrees, criminal records, and backstabbing, who you look up to? Just answer the question in the comments section. And if you can't, your opinion means nothing to me. It would be great if someone asked Anna and Zhank at the Young Turks the same question. Gail, I don't know how an intelligent, politically sophisticated woman like you could get suckered by Rashad's phony stories. It was only my second viewing of his indisputable shows that I reasoned that there was no way he had a legitimate advanced degree in anything. And so I began investigating. And as it turned out, I was right. You should have done the same thing. Finally, my apologies to Arnold Ziffel, who, unlike a certain celebrity we know, kept a tidy bedroom and probably did better in school. Like my video and subscribe to my channel.